Shabbos Daf Tzadik Ches. Today's email comes from David Gladstone from Cedarhurst. After giving his own Dvar Torah, he writes, "Just want to say how much I love the shir and helps me start my day off with Torah. I do sometimes join the regular Zoom shir in middle of my day, but recently everyone has been booking meetings at 2 p.m. May you continue with this great shir, David from Cedarhurst." If somebody takes an object, throws it from one Rosh Hashanah through Rosh Hashanah into the second Rosh Hashanah. The trick here in this brayso is that in the first Rosh Hashanah, it only traveled 2 amos, traveled through the Rosh Hashanah, and finally in the second Rosh Hashanah travels an additional 2 amos. According to this brayso, the 2 amos plus 2 amos and the 2 Rosh Hashanahs combine together to make a shir of Isser. But we don't say that since it went from Rosh Hashanah into Rosh Hashanah, he's chayiv right away on achnasa, because this brayso does not hold of the concept called kluta. We don't say that halachically it rested in the Rosh Hashanah. We're starting now a beautiful sugya of the Mishkan and how the Krushim worked. The Gemara tells us a concept. There is no Isser to carry in a Rosh Hashanah that has a rooftop, because in the Mishkan there was no rooftop. And the Gemara analyzes this to see whether or not there was a rooftop in the Mishkan. We're talking about the beams, the Krushim that built the Mishkan. When they transported these beams, they transported them on 4 wagons. The wagons were 2.5 amma wide, 5 amos long. And they would transport the length of the beams on the width of these wagons. Says the Gemara, if we can find ear gaps between the Krushim, then you're right. There was no ceilings in the Mishkan. But if the wood was together, stacked together on these wagons, perhaps that should create a rooftop. So how were these Krushim stacked? The simplest way, and that's the first step, perhaps they were stacked on their long side, 1.5 amma by 1 amma, so they put them on the 1.5 amma, so they should be more stable. There were 48 Krushim, 12 Krushim per wagon. That would give us 3 stacks. 1.5 amma times 3 is 4.5 amma. That leaves us a half an amma for the 2 gaps in the 3 stacks. 3 stacks of 4 high. A half an amma is 1.5 tfachim per gap. That's less than 3 tfachim, which we typically say lavud, and that closes the gap, and now we have a roof. We have a ceiling. So let's say that they didn't stack them on the wide side, on the 1.5 amma side. Perhaps they stacked them on the amma side. An amma will give us the potential to put down 4 stacks. We have a 5 amma wagon, we could put 4 stacks. You can't put 5 stacks because you have rings, it's too much. We'll put 4 stacks of 3 high. That gives us 3 gaps. We have an extra amma, from 4 ammas to 5 ammas, extra amma for the 3 gaps. That's 2 tfachim per gap. 2 tfachim is within lavud. Once again, we have a ceiling. Why does the Gemara say there were no ceilings in the Mishkan? According to the Min Daf that says that the Krushim started out as an amma on the bottom, but tapered off all the way to nothing, to a finger on the top. If you stack them on the wagons like that, you will indeed have large gaps of air, no problem. But what would he do about the other Min Daf? Says the Gemara, they stacked them like clothespins, meaning they took 2 stacks and put them together, creating 1 stack, and then they took 2 stacks, putting them together, creating another stack, a second stack. The reason they did so is to give it more stability. When you have 2 stacks put together like a clothespin, they won't tumble. Therefore, the gap between the 2 major stacks is a full amma, and that ruins the roof of this Rosh Hashanah. And we're dealing with a wagon that doesn't have a bottom. It's just a frame. Because if it had a bottom, once again, we have a roof in Rosh Hashanah. What is machlokes whether or not the Krushim were even on the bottom and top, or perhaps they went on a tapered angle? One man Omar says, it says in the pasuk, you samim al roishay. Samim means to finish. Rabbi Nechemia will say no. Tamim means that it should be made out of 1 solid piece of wood. You can't connect 2 pieces of wood. Rabbi Nechemia, on the other hand, says yachtav. They have to look similar from top to bottom. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Yachtav means that the wall should be nice and straight without any wood going in and out. The Gemara says, since one of the walls had 6 Krushim, we had to find 2 more Krushim to put in the corners. But if you are going to have Krushim that are on an angle, it doesn't work out very well. You're going to have a little bit of exposure on one of the Krushim. Says the Gemara, therefore, you have to cut this kerish on an angle, on a very specific angle for the corner. The Gemara tells us there was a big nace. The way these krushim were held up was with metal looping around the outside of the Mishkan. But there was one, according to Rashi, that went in the center. The Beria Ha went in the center. And it was a big nace. It was over 70 amos long, and it snaked its way through the walls and made the turn on the corners. Even though it was metal, it was able to turn the corner. That was a big nace. The Mishkan was covered with 3 coverings called Yeriyos. We're going to be discussing the first Yeriya, called the Mishkan, and the second one, the Izim. The first one consisted of 10 sections. Each section was 4 amos by 28 amos. In other words, we have 40 amos long by 28 amos wide. Now, the Mishkan was 10 amos tall and a 10 amma roof. That gives us at least 30 amos. So to start off with, we're already missing 2 amos. According to Rabbi Yehuda, that the walls did not take up any room because they came to a finger breadth on top. So we have a 10 amma ceiling and 10 amma walls. It's exactly 30 amos. So the fabric came all the way down and exposed the adonim, the sockets on the bottom. According to Reb Nechemia, that the actual wall takes up a full amma on each side. Now we're missing an additional 2 amos. So the fabric came down and it was hanging 2 amos above the ground, exposing the adonim plus 1 more amma of the wood. Now if we take it from the other side, the fabric was 40 amos long. According to Reb Yehuda, the fabric went all the way down to the floor on the other side. 30 amma roof plus 10 amma wall, that's 40 amos exactly. But according to Reb Nechemia, the wall itself took up an amma. So now the fabric went all the way to the adonim, leaving 1 amma of adonim exposed. Second Yeriya is the Yeriya season. That consisted of 11 sections times 4 amos, which is 44 amos. But the width was 30 amos. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, it went all the way down to the floor. According to Rabbi Nechemia, it exposed the adonim by 1 amma. Now, if we take it to the length side, since you have 44 amos, according to Rabbi Yehuda, it went all the way down to the floor, plus 2 amos on the backside, dragging like a kala's gown. According to Rabbi Nechemia, it was only 1 amma on the floor, and it was 2 amos longer than the Yeriyas HaMishkan. The krushim were chiseled on the bottom and fit directly into the sockets. Have a wonderful day.